Small town feel with big time ideas. After all, you are entitled to Brad's opinion. Here's your host, Brad Allard.
Well, we got caught talking before the show as usual, and so we're a couple minutes late. I got Victoria on today. We're going to talk about the city budget and talk about the impact the World Cup had, because you went to a couple games.
I did.
That must have been great.
It was fascinating. I think just the energy that people bring, and it was a lot of fun to be around many different cultures and people. And
only those Europeans.
Philip got to see the row, Norway row, and
they need to take their soccer more seriously over in Europe, really, or in Latin America. I mean,
someone
soccer.
quoted it perfect yesterday on one of the broadcasts we were watching. That Argentina, it's a religion. It's not just a sport.
I saw that. Yeah. Well, they say that about Southern football, but it's kind of similar. I mean, I know people that live and die with Aggie football.
Yes.
I've been accused of doing the Baylor football. If that's the case, I've been dead for 20 years. I've come to learn the hard way. That ain't the way to spend your life.
No, that's what Kent Tucker used to tell me, because he was a Florida graduate. And he was like, we used to go, he had these guys from college that he graduated with, and every year they would go to at least one game. And he said as the years progressed, when early in the years, soon after they graduated, they bought all this booze and would rent this party house. And then as they got older, there was more and more booze that they took home with them.
Yeah, that's pretty much it,
He's like, you can't live and die off some 18 and 19-year-olds.
Well, particularly now. That's a whole nother show about college sports. I've been very disappointed about what's been going on here. I'm going to share this with everybody. I'm looking for it. Come on, where's Oak Valley? I want to make sure Sherry gets this, because, somewhere around here. There's Oak Valley. It's posted. Good. We're good to go. All right. Anyway, we're going to talk about the budget in particular, because it's that time of year. The most wonderful time of year.
Budget talk tonight, supplementals.
And see, that's the thing that both you and Chris and Larry have said is, people don't really pay a lot of attention to this part, which is the important part. And then they see the budget and go, what were they thinking? Right. There's Alex Phillips. Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, Alex.
How are you doing? All right, let's do the sponsors real quick, and then we'll get to the fun and games. Our place, of course. I go there every other Monday, where the men in our Sunday school class try to solve the world's problems.
Of course.
And sometimes we talk about local stuff. It's good stuff. I think, it's really kind of interesting gauge about what the community mood is, you might say, when you go to our place. And right now, as far as I could tell, most people are content, if that's the best word. I mean, they know things can be tough, but for the most part, they're thinking that the city's being well run. I just think that hopefully this show and others will show them there's some hard decisions coming up, aren't there? Yeah. But anyway, our place is, of course, in Gina's. Tonight is chess night. Tomorrow night is bingo night. And Wednesday night is karaoke night, which they said, please don't come, Brad. I can't sing for crap. I'm telling you.
I can't either.
Yeah.
But I know every Disney song.
I'll bet you do. So did I.
So it was funny. I went to Seven Brew the other day, and they're always chit-chatting you about something, and they said something to the effect of, like, if we had karaoke in the line, would you sing? I said, sure. And they said, well, do you have a song that comes to mind? I was like, yeah, Part of Your World, for Ariel.
Ours was Under the Sea.
Yep.
Or Beauty and the Beast. We still have the VHS. According to there's still collector's items.
Mine might be somewhere. Did you see Taylor Swift had all the Toy Story?
No, Taylor Swift.
They signed her VHS.
Who's Taylor Swift? Josh, you know this Taylor Swift?
Never heard of her.
Oh yeah, she's Travis Kelce's wife. Yeah, that's right. Also, thank you to John Williams. We've seen him tomorrow. I'll be seeing him Wednesday, actually. He's in BNI with me. Old Pro Roofing, 817-734-2756. We like to do business with the home folks. They're only about 2 blocks from City Hall, aren't they? Real close.
Yeah.
And
they have a great location.
And we also want to, take care of our own. And also, if you have a problem, you know where to find them.
Right.
And, these guys come knocking on the door. That's fine. I mean, they're making a living. But I'd rather go to somebody I know, like John, 817-734-2756. Free inspection. It'll help you with the insurance, which has become more and more problematic.
And more painful.
Yeah. They make you earn it, don't they?
Yes.
Also,
you can have a giant hole, and they're still like, I don't know about that.
I don't know. A meteor going through your house. I don't know if that's... No, you don't have meteor coverage.
I think you could just patch that with some Elmer's glue.
Well, this is kind of what happened about 20-something years ago, as I had a different insurance company They don't want. I have Texas Farm Bureau now, and they take care of me
They
really
take
well.
care of roofs.
Yeah, but back then, it had another one, which I won't mention, and we had some damage, and they just showed up with a patch of shingles. Something like, I'm going to get on the roof and shingle on home. All right, anyway, all right, go on to the next one. Let's go to Jeff Kelly. All right, Weatherington Agency, another local outfit,
He lives in my neighborhood. And he recently sold one of our neighbors' houses.
817-781-0546. Yeah, he's got several that he's closing on. He's making, he's
doing
banking.
good.
Yeah, and well, it's because he works at it.
He does.
Because he really does. Besides this kind of promotion, he does a lot of other promotions as well. He'll be the new president of BNI in October.
Oh, good for him.
I'll be the vice president. I mean, believe me, it was not a coveted position in either case. It's like, it's your turn. All right, but anyway, give him a holler.
I was in Rotary for 10 years, I remember.
Yeah. You're not in Rotary any longer?
They meet at 7 o'clock on Fridays and all school drop off and all of that stuff. For several years, I went with baby strapped to me and all that. And then I just was like, okay.
Well, as your kids get older, it's harder to delegate your time.
Busy.
Yeah.
My kids are so busy.
I was going to ask you about that in a minute because it's just brings back a lot of memories.
And it's just a season, so I don't want to take it for granted.
Yeah. What they say, I saw this on a commercial, and I've heard this before, but the days are long but the years are short.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, my friend Rod Lewis over at the News Express, I wouldn't be surprised if you see him and or Ken, his brother, tonight. They were on the show about 3 weeks ago, and they've been really aggressively trying to promote their product. I see in about 54, 55 locations. I was getting my car worked on, and I saw at a local auto shop, and there were some issues there. I get mine at Daydream Coffee if I want to drop by. Also, I get it in the mail. I'm a subscriber, so there fantastic. You go. Also, one last one, True Climate, Heating and Cooling, Will Cobb and his sister Emily Cobb, 682-244-2019. Get that air conditioner inspected because now it's going to be summer. We've been kind of skirting it, but now it's about to
We're about to cook. August is always the worst.
It's the worst. I couldn't stand it in August, and school was starting, and you just sweating like a horse, even with the air conditioners on. Anyway,
Audrey's been complaining. We keep his house too warm. I'm like, whoa,
pay the bill.
It costs a lot of money.
Yeah, that's exactly what I say. We
have to make cuts. Do you want to dance or do you want air conditioning?
My daughter said the same thing. Said, you want the chill, you pay the bill, and that kind of thing. Yeah. So ain't that was a good one, right?
I like it. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. Well, okay.
I'll steal it.
Okay.
To Audrey's credit, she has been trying to start up her own little businesses. I love her entrepreneurial.
Business? About what?
She wants to bling things. And, that's really popular in our world. And so she did her little, we got them jerseys. Our dance team got jerseys to go to nationals. That way, because if we go on stage and things, they usually wear their company jacket. So for nationals, we introduced a jersey option since it's short sleeves and stuff. And so she blinged hers out, and now she's hoping people will pay to do that. And she also makes charms and all kinds of things. She hustles. I'll give her that.
Now she's going to 5th grade?
Sixth
grade. Was she going to Kurt now?
She's going to get STEAM.
STEAM, okay, but a different school than what you've been going to, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then
6 years at Academy, and now she's a big kid.
Oliver's 4th grade?
4th grade. I can't believe it. My
kid. Well, you wait. Wait, high school gets easy. Raising kids gets easier in high school.
Oh, no. They just get busier.
No,
their social calendars.
I'm kidding you, actually.
Yesterday, we were driving home after camp drop-off, and Philip and I were talking about our how we don't really have social lives because it just revolves around dance or whatever. Yeah. But it's just a season, and
That's
won't
the way
have
it
them.
is.
I'm like, well, you know what? There will be a time when we can build up our social calendar again. I kind of stink as a friend because they're like, okay, let's go do coffee. And I'm like, in 4 Tuesdays from now, I have a 30-minute block.
Well, I know how hard it is to get you here. I mean, I have to contact you literally about 3-4 weeks ahead of time. Yeah. And that's fine. Yeah. That's what your
It's a little easier when they're in school because at least school hours are defined, right? Mm-hmm. But during the summer, it's like, okay, this camp this week is this to this, and this is this to this. And it's like a lot of shuffling around. And
well, Sherry Scott says, hey.
Hey, Miss Sherry.
She's on, if they're just watching, I get them. If they comment, you both get them.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, I guess just briefly, I want to keep the budget for the primary conversation, but briefly, the World Cup did have some positive impacts on this region.
To the region, for sure.
Yeah, and you're talking about the COG and the Council of Governments.
On the Council of Governments, we've been talking about this for a couple of years. It was going to have major impact to our entire region between people that were traveling in and just the influx of people viewing and being active participants. I heard Buffalo Bros saw something like 20% increase in sales on soccer nights.
Well, sure, because people want to watch it together with friends and whatnot. And they go to Gina's had soccer games on. I was there.
Yes.
It was in Germany and Paraguay, and it was a full house. Mm-hmm. And
so many businesses we heard of that were showing it or had that opportunity, to give the viewing. They generally saw an increase between 5 to 20% in their sales, and so that's phenomenal. But as a region, we just saw it's like a fever, and it was fun, and it had tentacles that reached out so far. I don't think our sports, football's the closest to it, but internationally, soccer is it's something else, and it's contagious. So my family, Philip is a big soccer guy, and he has played since he was 2, and he still plays in an adult league, and so he's been looking forward to this. But I don't know it's probably been 30 years or so since the U.S. even hosted. It was
94.
94.
Yeah.
Since we've hosted, and so it was a really big deal for us to even land this. And of course, for the U.S. to land it, we had to partner with Canada and Mexico on this,
it's fine.
It was. I think it was really neat
and it was a good thing for the whole continent. But you know what?
Absolutely.
The thing about it, I had a show about 2 or 3 weeks ago about what the Europeans are thinking of America, and they're like, they were amazed. I told this anecdote a couple of times on the show, but on the first Dallas game was Czechia or Czech Republic, or whatever they call themselves now, and England. And I was spending the afternoon with my mom, of course, Canada, and we were going home, and I had my wife and sister, and so we had to stop at Buc-ee's, and there's 2 reasons you stop at Buc-ee's, right?
Nuggets?
Well, maybe. What's the other one? The toilets.
Oh, the potties. Yeah, that's
so
fair.
they had to go, and I'm in there just kind of waiting around on them. I see all these Czech fans in there, and they're just
decked
amazed. Yeah, and they're amazed at Buc-ee's.
How big everything is, that you can get refills.
Oh, yeah, that was just funny. And so it was really good for us. And
I sat next to an individual Audrey and I went to 2 games, and then Philip went to a few more, but she and I were able to go to the Argentina game where we saw Messi make history.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
That was fun.
And then Audrey and I went to the Portugal-Spain game. I was rooting for Ronaldo, and she was rooting for Lamine Yamal.
Yeah,
and she's at camp, so she didn't get to watch the game yesterday.
No.
And so Philip he wrote it in her little note, like, Spain won. She's going to be ecstatic. I know she is.
Well, I bet somehow they got it on TV.
Not at camp. No,
What kind of camp is this?
It's Pine Cove. It's no electronics, nothing of that.
Well, anyway.
Hey, it's good.
But back
it's
to
very positive.
Okay.
But so we're at this game, and I'm sitting next to this gentleman, and he's like, he had just flown in from Houston, but he had the next game he was going to go to was in California. He had just come from Canada. He was bouncing all over, and he was a Canadian. And he's like, I just, as game gets close, if it's a team that I want to watch, I jump on and see, what tickets I can get. And happened to be one of the seats that we sold. And so he sat there. We had a great time just talking about the differences in all the different stadiums.
I wish they had played that game yesterday in Dallas. It would have been
Wouldn't that have been cool?
It'd been a better game.
You think?
Well, yeah, because that was, first of all, that was the worst field of all of them, including Mexican and Canadian. The worst field, the player said. Second of all, Meadowlands Stadium's a toilet.
It is.
It's a toilet. And I could think of 6, 7 other stadiums that are much better, including Dallas, L.A., Las Vegas. If you want soccer atmosphere, Kansas City's better.
I know. Well, Philip got to go up to the Seattle, to the last USA game up in Seattle. He had his heart crushed. But he said, there's a parade that leads into the stadium of all the fans and people. It filled up the entire streets. It marched to the stadium. There's all these cool soccer traditions, and Seattle apparently is a big soccer community.
It is. The Sounders,
we have a big youth soccer community in Burleson. And so I wish staff could have put together a viewing or something cool in our plaza that's considered our community living room.
I thought there was something on the.
There was.
I saw some issues about it because we're spending money and my potholes aren't being fixed. I'm like, give me a break.
Understandable. Yeah.
Well, But also, cities are more than just pothole fixing.
They are.
I mean, I guess
It builds community.
Right.
And there was so much. I mean, while the businesses, there are several businesses in town that got to benefit from the game nights, but a community as a whole, it would have. I saw friends of mine that live all over the Metroplex that were posting pictures of different watch parties in their communities, and seeing an entire crowd stand for the national anthem and watch these youth. There's only so much room in a restaurant, but seeing the kids, our big youth soccer community, come out and get to kick around a ball and cheer at, see, all ages cheer on the USA. They haven't made it out of the group stages in I don't even know how many years.
It was 16, I think we got out, but got pounded in the first round.
So we actually made it despite a lot of naysayers. It was really cool. And now the last game that they played was sad.
Yeah.
But, anyway, it was just fun to get swept up in that. And like I said, from a COG perspective, we've been talking about this for a couple of years: security, traffic, mass transit, and they had buses that were taking media and different specialty groups. All, like basically, if you put your name on a list and kind of gave something that you wanted to promote, the buses could be routed to your community. There was so many opportunities, and the COG really worked. And it wasn't just them, but since it's a regional perspective, they really worked with surrounding communities to say, hey, how can we get visitors to you to showcase what you have to offer in your community and what's different about Fort Worth from Dallas and McKinney from Dallas or, all these different areas and things. And it was fun to see all this on social media.
And Stockyards did well.
Stockyards did tremendously well. That they can only hold so many people. So what else could we have showcased? And we'll learn from this and we'll know. But I think they hit it out of the park. We were moving people all around the Metroplex, and it gave a really cool, we were able to showcase what our trains can do, what our buses can do. It was just, it was cool. I was really proud of us.
We have the Olympics coming up in 2 years in Los Angeles. So, I'll see how that goes because they're not as well run as we are. And
I don't think so.
We
won additional grant funding for this opportunity because of how organized we were, because our transportation experts, they're smart, they work hard, they get people moving, and they find solutions. And we have our COG has a record of, for every $1 in transportation we receive, we turn it around. We equate that more to like $4. We're able to turn it around and put it to work.
The multiplier effect. Where did you hear that before?
Mr. Allard's economics class. So it was really neat.
If I'm king of this country, I would mandate that Globe Life and AT&T have mass transit stops.
They should.
But that was, Mr. Jones was adamant that not happen, so he can, people pay for the parking.
Oh my gosh, parking was almost as much as tickets in some cases.
Oh yeah.
The first game we went to, our parking cost $250. And that was cheap.
Holy moly.
It was disgusting.
I'd rather walk.
We did after that.
Oh, yeah. You get your steps in. So
I didn't, but my husband did.
Oh, you dropped you off. Okay. Poor guy.
Audrey and I did have to walk a couple of blocks since we didn't have Dad for that game. He was in Seattle for the USA game on the same day that Portugal and Spain played.
Bless your hearts.
It was so cool. I mean, he went to the Japan game, and he said he saw one guy completely decked out in samurai gear at the game. Drums were going at all of them. And just the cheers, the chants, the camaraderie, people from different countries, it was just so fun to get swept up in it. And
I'm glad that we didn't have any kind of incident of some kind. There wasn't. I mean, all the incidents on the field, as opposed to some.
Oh my goodness! I was so impressed at police coverage, and the dogs were sniffing as you're walking in. It was seamless to get inside, and we were at. One of the games was record breaking. It was like 110,000 people in attendance at one of the games that I think it was the Portugal game that we attended. And I mean, the fact that many people were being shuttled through, it felt secure. You felt safe. The process was seamless to get inside. I was completely amazed and so proud of our regional law enforcement. It was phenomenal.
The bars were rooting hard for England and Scotland because they were drinking those towns dry. I have a Scottish friend, and a messenger said, "Is this common?" And I knew it was. I was kidding her. I said, "Beer and football, you don't have one without the other."
No,
and so,
no. It was such a good time. It was so cool to just see all of this happen right here in our backyard. And when
Yeah.
will we get to see another opportunity like this again? I
Not
don't
in our
know.
lifetime. Not my lifetime.
Yeah.
You know,
No.
I mean, I'll be in the bone orchard by the time this happens again, but that's fine.
I think we host the women's FIFA soccer in 32 or something like that.
It's
30 something.
they go every other 2 years, so it'd be 20. It'd be 32. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. The
So-
next World Cup is in Spain and
Yes.
and Portugal
And Portugal.
and Morocco. As a couple games,
Morocco.
yeah. And then after that, in 34, it's already been decided to be Saudi Arabia, which God knows how that's going to work. But anyway,
About that. But I would love to have them.
speaking
and what a
of,
full opportunity for us as a nation.
well, speaking of beers, how many are you going to have after tonight's meeting?
I will be begging for my pajamas after tonight's meeting.
Yeah.
It's a lengthy one. It's always hard when we only go for like one meeting in a month because there's a lot of work that has to be done in the city. You know, contracts have to be approved and work has to be done, and people are waiting on things. And so tonight's meeting is important. It's lengthy. We got an email from City Secretary's office that's like, "Hey, just a heads up, you can wear business casual. You don't have to wear a suit and tie or whatever."
Is that normal to wear suit and tie?
I think out of respect, we all try to dress up. And
I'm trying to
nice.
remember. Have I ever seen the mayor in a tie?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
For picture day.
Or maybe that's what I'm thinking. Well, Larry Scott says, hey, he'll be there tonight, you know,
Yes.
knocking heads with
Yeah.
everybody. But from
We're
what
going to have good discussions, healthy discussions. And that I've said this so many times, of the benefit of there being 7 of us, although Dan won't be there tonight, so there will be 6. But, you know, we all come from different perspectives and different experience and different knowledge. And there's things that Larry dives into. There's things that I dive into. And so when you mix us all together, I truly appreciate the dialogue we have as a council now. It's healthier than we've ever had. You know, first couple of years I was on council, we had terrible dialogue. In fact, we had no dialogue. Instead, we fought, and you had to be careful who said what. And if you disagreed, you know, things, unfortunately, decisions that were made that negatively impact the city, even, you know, still today, because of we couldn't have healthy dialogue back then. So we can now.
Well, no,
and
I know
we
Chris
can
has said
healthy
more than once.
disagreements and
Yeah, he's been very, very complimentary the last 2-3 years about this particular council, and he's off the record too. You know, not just for public consumption, but we talk afterwards, and he says it's not an easier job, and the fact that the problems are easier, but it's easier to tackle the problems.
yeah, because you feel like you're working as a team and you're all listening to each other. You know, the last meeting I was out of town for the very last meeting, but the previous one where I was in town and I attended, I mean, we had some healthy dialogue, strong dialogue about the potential for NEZs and what that would mean for a certain area of our community.
One more time.
It's an NEZ, it's Neighborhood Empowerment Zone,
Okay.
and it encourages revitalization.
Is it like for businesses or homes?
This we were looking at for neighborhood, but you can make it for different areas.
Well, I mean, an empowerment zone would like help people repair their homes, or
right.
what?
We were looking at waiving permit fees for certain types of work. And so it was a really good discussion. I'm so grateful for the citizens that attended, because honestly, we can't make decisions in a vacuum. And if we don't hear from the citizens, particularly those that are going to be directly impacted by it, I was very proud of them, those that came and wrote us emails and sent in information and things about how it would impact them. And ultimately, we decided to not move forward with it. But it was an important discussion and a lively one. And so that's really beneficial for our whole community when we can make decisions not in a vacuum, and we can make decisions that are well thought out and well discussed. So,
well, here's a couple of questions that when I had told people that you were going to be on the show, so I ask her this and ask her that kind of thing.
okay,
Is there any contemplation of an increase in tax?
not that I'm aware of.
Okay. I haven't heard that either, but I just want to, it's better to hear from you than just press to speculate. But the goal is to try to make the budget work within the existing tax rate.
Absolutely.
Okay. Second one was, what is the biggest
Now, will we
obstacle
capture
to that?
growth rate?
Yeah.
Most likely. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to have to capture growth, would be my assumption. But
What? Okay, explain that to.
so,
I mean, I've become aware over the years, but what does that mean exactly?
and this was a really hot topic, a hot button issue last year around this time when I was visiting with you and the mayor was visiting with you, because the Johnson County Appraisal District had basically frozen rates or frozen appraisals. I apologize. And so we weren't able to capture appraisal growth.
Right.
We just had to stay at the previous rates. And that's hard when we're a growing community and we have growing needs. We need additional police officers to be able to respond to calls. We need additional dispatchers to answer those calls. We need additional firefighters. In the event that we have a house fire, do we have enough staff to appropriately respond to that? But also simultaneously, if we have a medical call on the other side of town, can we get to both of those calls and appropriately respond to them? We have development needs. Our development office and department I give them so much credit. They keep our city moving and progressing with skeleton staff. They have a lot of demands. People want to build and they want their things approved immediately. And the staff only has so many hours in a day, and they've got to do a lot with a little. And so all across our board, we just every year have to make tough decisions. But we're growing, and so it was really hard to say you grew as a community, but you can't capture that financial growth. Because we froze them for, at the time, I think they were looking at 3 years. And so this year, I do believe they did do reappraisals. And so there's some growth.
Well, yes, Kim Jones has been on the show about 3 times.
Moly.
Yeah.
Now, some of them, the process for appraisals, I don't understand it.
Well,
to
Kim
say
will
that the
try
home,
to fill it out
I know,
for you, but it's hard.
Oof. It is. And the bill that we got alone on our house, I was like, for the first time, we protested it. We haven't heard back yet.
Yeah.
I saw another friend in our neighborhood protested and received a favorable response. And I encourage people to do that, to pay attention to what we're paying for just as much as they're paying, pay attention to, the city and county governments to see where their dollars are going. But
protesting it isn't. It shouldn't be taken in with a negative connotation,
not at
because
all.
you want to pay what you owe, but you don't want to pay more than what you owe. People complain about taxes. I pay them, but I don't want to pay more than what I'm assessed.
I want to pay
not a charity case,
right? Yeah.
As far as this capture business.
Yep.
I know at the state level, they're talking about freezing valuation rates and all this other business. And that's got to be just for politics, because
it is.
There's no way that these smaller communities in particular are going to benefit. Now, the push, I think, is that they're going to put pressure on the property tax idea itself to move towards a consumption-based tax. And I've had discussions with the mayor about this, and he makes a good case. I still have some reservations, which he's aware of. But I think what's going to happen is that's going to be the dominant issue next spring in the legislature.
I think they should have a true discussion about, what are alternatives and what truly, how do those alternatives impact a community like a Joshua versus a Fort Worth or a Grandview? They still have to have police and emergency response, and they have to have streets built and water drainage and all of those things too. So how does it make sense? I don't have the answer for that, but I do think if you're going to run and you're going to hold a state seat, get down there and talk about real things that impact all across our state.
When you talk about the capture, I think a lot of people get this impression that if you're not going to change the tax rates, their tax bill shouldn't change. And they get the bill and it's X amount of dollars higher.
That's hard to understand.
And it's like, wait.
Our tax rate didn't change.
Yeah.
The amount we are able to, like the per dollar, how much we're able to capture didn't change.
Right.
But your evaluation grew, and therefore that changes how much you pay.
Well, I have Kim Jones on again in about 2 weeks, and for somebody who doesn't drink coffee, she's hardly caffeinated. She really, this is something that she really pushes.
She's passionate about.
Yeah.
And I know several others, Craig Hunley and many others that are too, and that's good. We need people that dive into issues and have a passion for it. It's just a matter of how does that equate to real work being done.
Well, and protesting the taxes it was a wave this year because I think a lot of people looked at their bill like you did and said, "Holy moly!"
Right?
I'm going to be at a position fairly soon where I'll be paying it at one lump as opposed to through escrow, and I'm just don't dread opening up that envelope, because when you do it through escrow, you just kind of pay your mortgage.
Yeah, you don't think about it.
Yeah, and then
it's
bill,
part of your mortgage bill.
Oh my gosh, and you look at it's 12-month accumulated bill.
Yeah, my husband's an accountant. He figures all he puts back every month, essentially like we're doing through escrow, but he doesn't do it
That's
that
what
way.
I plan on doing. your husband, he strikes me as somebody that's very astute about these kind of issues.
Yes.
You know, you roll your eyes when you say that.
Well,
Does he check your grocery bill and go, do we really need that many bananas?
Checks everything. But he'll be like, okay, let's sit down and talk about. I'm like, I think the kids are calling me in the other room.
You and Robin have the same attitude. Robin's like, you didn't want me to spend today at that estate sale? You should have told me earlier. Like,
I always tell him, I'm like, look, I'm on city council. My brain can only, look at a certain amount of finances. And so he's like, okay, so great. So when you roll off council, I can start bringing you back. I'm like, ew, no.
That's incentive to keep running, isn't it? So are you more concerned about the revenue side of it or the expenditure side of the budget?
Revenue.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, on expenditures, every single budget year we have cut back, I'd say easily over the last 5 years. In some areas, I'm scared to our detriment. We're a growing community. Can we appropriately handle the growth? Whether that's, from the permitting side, from development, from economic development. I mean, I don't want us to forget that we still have citizens that are currently living here that are going to serve. And I really want us to continue to explore, how do we grow from within, things, in my opinion, the west side of town where there's blank land, possibilities are endless. That's going to develop. But let's talk about like center of Burleson, Old Town, and along 35. We need to think smart and look at where density is appropriate. And in particular in Old Town, so that it's more walkable. We have less people.
I never thought of Old Town as not walkable.
It can continue to be like more walkable across the railroad tracks. I mean, Old Town is more than just Ellison.
You build a bridge or something. That'd be great. Or
our entire Old Town district actually goes to the other side of 35.
Yeah. I know it's zoned like that, but when people think of Old Town, they think
of the plaza.
Oh, yeah, you think of frescoes and babes, et cetera.
Yeah, but it extends further, and that's what we should be thinking of across the railroad tracks, the Hill College land, even where the what is the old grocery store, where City Market used to be.
Yeah.
Now, there's so much opportunity for redevelopment and focus that I don't want to lose our character. And Old Town is it's a shining light in our community. It's something that we have many
people come
others
from all over
don't.
for it.
And so what can we do to continue to enhance that and grow it in its true proper, what we've defined as the Old Town district?
Yeah, but you and I have both been here long enough to remember Old Town was basically Odin's Barbecue and
that's
that
it.
malt shop.
It was
and
Main front between Renfro and Eldred.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And
there's nothing.
And so I really want us to keep that, but there's opportunity all surrounding that. And also, I give credit to my colleagues that were thinking about an NEZ district of existing areas of Burleson. How can we improve them? How can we grow them? How can we enhance them so that we're not spreading ourselves thin? I mean, for lack of better words, when we look at the West Side, while all of that is exciting, it also means we have to extend the reach of emergency services,
streets and water,
and so really focusing on growing like the heart of Burleson.
I know the developers pitch in on this, but it's still going to be a big expense to the city, and this is the kind of the problem that when I lived in Plano for about 10 years, for high school and college years and a little after, they had the same problems, because they were growing so fast, that kids were going to schools that were half complete like I did, because they just had to put them somewhere.
Yeah.
And so, and they adopted certain educational philosophies just to accommodate large numbers as opposed to, smaller groupings and whatever. But that's something that, both the districts and the cities around us are going through, because like Jeff will tell you, it's still growing. You read about other areas and housing is declining or whatever else, not here, not in Johnson County, And Alex will tell you, if he's still listening, that we punch way above our weight in terms of economic reach, because, we have maybe 50-something thousand now, 52 or something.
52, 54, something
Yeah.
like that.
But we have basically a buy market.
Yeah, our buy market is something like 300,000.
Yeah, that's right.
It's big.
Yeah. And you go like on a Saturday, it's becoming a thing, and that is a thing. And becoming what it is a thing to go to the market, farmers market, and then
Oh my goodness, it's so
other
fun
stuff.
to see that.
Yeah.
How much that's grown. It used to be the little parking lot across from City Hall, and it was like 7 vendors, and now look at it.
Chaz Forster could double that if he wanted to, but he didn't have the space.
Yeah.
And besides, how many bread shops? He's of the opinion that kind of have 1 or 2 of a product or service as opposed to 7. But anyway, the biggest concern, I guess, expenditure-wise, just from what we've talked about, also is usually about roads. I'm driving down Hidden Creek and find out you're doing some work there.
Yes.
And that's great. But, I know from this perspective now, I know what the expense is involved in that. That stretch of Hidden Creek repairs, I bet is in the 7 figures. And, a lot of people don't realize that. They think it's just in 2 or 3 blocks, no big deal. You pour some concrete and move on. It doesn't work that way.
No, you have to dig and make sure that the foundation is what they said it is. And Hidden Creek, we have found, from its original build, it was not adequately
Not enough rebar.
Yeah, not enough stuff on the bottom.
Yeah.
Which is what made it cave and crack. And then also think about now with all these heavy rains that we have, like I watch water on Hidden Creek and think about the damage that it does to our pavement.
Is that what you think about now? That's the interesting thing because, city council, we're thinking, we got rain. You're thinking, the roads.
The roads. I do, actually.
That's funny.
And drainage.
And drainage.
Because we're considering our first, for the first time in our history to have a storm drainage fee.
Right.
We've never had that. But we have something like $146 million across our community in drainage needs and projects. And think about if your property backs up to some of these drainage areas that haven't been ever addressed or haven't been addressed in a really long time, and it's coming up into the back of your house.
Oh, yeah.
Or the roads that we have had to repair continuously because they sit underwater. Water does a lot of damage.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it
my
costs
friends
a
at Stop
lot.
Restoration can tell you.
Yeah.
Well, this happened in my dad's house in Corsicana. My parents, my mom still lives in Corsicana, but my mom and dad, when he was with us, had all these drainage issues in Corsicana. When they had heavy rains, it go right through their backyard, and it flooded his backyard. And he would go up there and raise all sorts of hell with Corsicana, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll get to you, Leon." Beat it. And
They probably didn't have a dedicated funding source for it.
well,
But then it just competes. And that's the hard part is we have so many competing needs when you're just looking at the general fund. It's really hard to tell citizens, we can't hire another police officer this budget because look at all of these projects over here, and you have to compare one-time expenses to annual expenses and reoccurring, and it's all a juggle, and there isn't a perfect solution. We want to do it all. Can we do it all in one budget? No.
Speaking of police, I'm going to segue right here and give a shout out to our friend Colin Gregory.
Oh my goodness.
I saw him at Sam's a week ago Saturday, and it was
I just want to give him the biggest hug.
yeah, and I did, and because he had
through
that
some
very
stuff.
bad health scare, and so we wish him well. And that's the kind of stuff, though. I'm just thinking of Colin. I mean, a lot of communities don't have a Colin,
Right.
and we're very lucky to have one because we need to be updated on what's going on.
Well, and we need to be telling our story. And that's for all our departments, honestly. But particularly in law enforcement, when they can get so easily, like any one headline can then be, oh, well, that could happen in Burleson, or is that happening in Burleson? And so you have somebody telling our story and being upfront with citizens about what we're working on, what status, the status report of things. It's really important that we're communicative and we're transparent about what we're doing all across the city of Burleson. And Colin does a fantastic job of that for PD.
I've talked to, beside yourself, you and the mayor, a couple others on your council, and one of the things that kind of drives them a little bit crazy is that they think they're being as transparent as possible, and then when a decision's made, people go, "Wait a minute,
We didn't know anything about this.
yeah," and I could say my show helps a little bit, but there's going to have to be some effort on the part of the citizen to keep up to date, and a lot of them just, I don't know, we're very passive in how we receive news, and
Well, it's what headlines capture your attention from social media, right? So many people get their information from social media. And is that, depending on the sources, is it even accurate? I don't.
And also you got to think of the
It's so
motivations
easy to
of
push
people.
things out.
Sure.
And grab people's attention with scare tactics. And it's unfortunate.
And they do that in the national media as well. Certainly, every time I pick up, I read across the spectrum, and it depends on whatever.
Same.
New York Times tells you the country's coming to an end because of the far right, and you read Fox, it's because of the far left. So the gist is we're coming to an end. Okay, I get it. But you got people that want to throw bombs on Facebook and others just because it's fun, and all this other stuff. But I'm glad that we have this venue. Whether people take advantage or not, they really don't have an argument if they don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then they complain afterwards.
And I'm very sensitive to the people that work for the city of Burleson. I genuinely believe that overwhelmingly, or for the most part, you're going to have people that just do it because they care about. They live here, they're invested here, their kids are going to school here, their grandparents, still live in town, whatever it may be. We have people that are truly invested and care about the work that they're doing and the product that they're producing here in Burleson. And as a former government employee, I didn't do it because I got paid well. And my first job was $30,000 a year, and I worked an obscene amount of hours, but I did it because I cared, and I wanted to see the benefit of the work that we were doing.
Cherry drops one here. The ordinance concerning e-motorcycles are on the agenda tonight. I'm waiting to see how the ordinance will help with controlling how they ride in the street and in our parks. I remember she brought that up, I think, it wasn't Larry. Adam was on the show, and she brought that up then because apparently these e-bikes are just flying everywhere.
Everywhere.
And they're
I
dangerous.
feel so sorry for law enforcement because you have to identify, basically it's not like they have labels on them. And if they do, the kids pick them off, by the way, or their parents help them to tell you how fast they go because, they say certain ones that go over 30 miles an hour fall into this classification. And unless you're pulling every single person riding them over to say, hey, how fast does this thing go? Or, does it, looking closely, does it have pedals? Does it not? Some of the e-bikes look like dirt bikes that we grew up with. And then I see the kids riding them and young adults riding them around town. That's
Sherry
so
says she almost hit a little boy last night turning in our driveway.
They're not, they don't know, or maybe they just don't care. They think they have the right of way. They pull out in front of cars.
Oh, yeah.
They go on the sidewalks. And in some degree, do I want to tell a young kiddo to be in the street versus on the sidewalk? But then if you're on the sidewalk, do I see you? Do you see the car that's trying to back out? I don't know. I genuinely feel for Chief Cordell and all of our PD. This is a tough discussion, and I don't know how number one, we absolutely have to focus on education for parents to understand, do you know what you're buying your kid and how fast they go? And are you ensuring that they understand when they're driving on the streets versus when they can drive on the sidewalks? And do you know to look both ways and not pull out in front of cars and not, I think
is there any kind of
driving
process of
101.
licensure for this?
No.
See, when I was 15, I had a motorcycle. It was a 125, which was the limit for guys my age. But I had to go and go through driver's ed in effect for motorcycles and take a test before I could get a certificate and all this other stuff. And it sounds like these e-bikes are just not too much different than what I was spoiling around in. I did my paper route on it, and I drove to school and thinking I was a bad dude or whatever. But I had to go through some sort of process of training and licensure, and these bikes aren't a whole lot different from when I was riding.
Agree.
And now we just putting 12-year-old kids on them, right?
Yeah. Well, even just, we've become such you're going to like just the assumption that cars or people are going to stop for you. You're just in your own world, and young adults too. Like I just don't think that they're not. I don't know. We need to really focus on education, both as a controller of whatever the vehicle or thing is, whether that's a e-bike or these scooters. I mean, there's just so like they don't realize the power that they have, and what you're truly responsible for as an operator of these things. And like I said, I don't know that all parents understand, what they're actually purchasing for their kids.
I had to talk my mother into it. I mean, I had a paper route, so I paid for my own bike, but there was a lot of conversation to get my mom on board. My dad is like, sure, whatever. Well, because he had a motorcycle at one point too, but that's an issue. Of course, then if we do go to some sort of licensure and all this, that's another expense upon the city to set up the process and have the personnel for it.
Yeah, well, we couldn't even do it. It'd have to be a state thing.
Yeah, and that's kind of a problem. Josh, do you have one of these e-bikes?
The e-motorcycles?
Yeah, e-motorcycle.
No, but I did. I did go to a very large college campus, and the only way to get around was on the e-scooters, and that had some complications because you can move faster than pedestrians, but not as fast as cars.
Yeah.
So you can't go on the sidewalk, but if you're on the street, then all the cars are getting mad at you, and it's just.
I mean, I see kids. I was coming off 35 South, going on to Hidden Creek, so I take that little loop, and there were kids. There's not a pedestrian walk button on that intersection, and there were kids that were just like going in between cars because we're at the stoplight, but then the automatic, like the yield turn, you know what I'm talking about, to the right, like that's just a yield. And so, you're looking back, you don't see a car, but could one of those scooters pop up in an instant? Absolutely. And you don't see them necessarily because they're small and they're fast, and it's just lots of potential for accidents. And I know there are accidents happen. We may not even be hearing about all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Just like Miss Sherry said. I mean, this is happening. I
had a couple of spills that I still haven't told my mother about.
Audrey had a spill. She rode a friend's scooter, and it wasn't even one of the 30 miles an hour ones. And she was being cautious, but, they get willy-nilly or get brave, and her little friend cut in front of her, and she fell over, and she skinned up her back and her knees. And it was tough, but it was a learning lesson. Like, hey, make sure you're aware of where you're driving that thing, and are you paying attention to cars? And
it's just it's just kind of in general, because when I go through a parking lot, like at Sam's or something like that, I see these people with their heads in their phones just walking across in front of me, and I have to slam the brakes on. I was like, hey,
Or what about somebody that's driving? One time we were sitting in our house, and we heard a car hit another car. It was clearly parked. Woman was looking down at her phone. And so what's to say how easy it would be to hit a scooter, hit an e-bike, hit any of these things if you're looking down at your phone?
So there'll be some discussion about this. I wonder if there's going to be a pro e-motorcycle part of that discussion in a sense, because we understand about,
youth. You want them to be doing stuff outside
and having some freedom and all this. We don't want to be the nanny state and all this other stuff. I mean, we make them wear a helmet.
Make them wear a helmet, please. Please. The amount of people I see with not wearing a helmet, even on motorcycles.
Well, motorcycle, there's no law for it. There's no. It wasn't my day, but it was also a rule in my house. I'm surprised my mom didn't mandate a suit of army every time I got on that thing. But
I told Audrey she knows if you're going to ride on a scooter, you have to be in bubble wrap. Needless to say, she's scared of them.
That's good. She learned a lesson.
You want kids to do things outside. You want them to not be glued to an electronic. You want them to see friends and have social opportunities. But
Burleson needs a helmet ordinance too.
That
for motorcycles, Jerry. I mean, like for
all things,
motorized. They not like these big Harleys.
Motorcycles, can we? I know people will not be happy with it.
Well, the thing is,
we would like your brains to stay in your head.
I don't know if they could do one for like a big old Harley driver, because it's not a state law, and I know how the state has been the last few years about communities passing laws that they
come
don't
after us.
Yeah.
They don't like cities.
She says for everything.
I mean, they don't like the state. If we do something, the state's like, oh, see, local government's controlling and. I've
been very, very Oh, she says just for
kids.
kids. Okay, I get it. I get very, very concerned about what the state's doing to local communities.
It's not good.
You know, it's not just
we're the ones on the ground.
right.
We are dealing face to face. We are seeing these issues. Is the state representative or state senator necessarily seeing that? I don't know. Depends where they live. But you drive through Oak Valley. These and my neighborhood, Plantation across the road. They're everywhere. I see them on 174. I see them on Renfro. So how do we protect our kids and also give them a little bit of freedom? Like, yeah, we want you to be to learn and grow from your own experiences, but at the same time, like, I want all your body parts still intact.
Well, like, what's getting to me, the political side, this is my political point, is can you imagine what would be being said if the Democrat Party in our state ran the state and was doing these things, intruding on local control? We'd have people going off the chain about how we needed to have local control. But
We don't even hear local control anymore.
No.
When was the last time you even heard that?
But they're perfectly content for Dan Patrick to do it.
Oh, come in with all of his big, sweeping, ridiculous state stuff.
I mean, it's like, okay, if you'd have gone crazy had Governor Ann Richards had done this, why aren't you going crazy with Greg Abbott doing this?
Right.
Same thing, Bob Bullock is probably the most prominent Democrat lieutenant governor in my lifetime. Mm-hmm. And for those not around then, he was in the late 90s. He was Bush's first lieutenant governor when he was governor. And he was more local control than these guys ever thought about being.
Yeah, they don't want local control.
And
we have some state senators that, woo-wee, they do not want local control.
Mm-hmm. And I don't understand that really, because it's like...
Either. Well, because they come from communities where it's essentially like big government. I mean, like you come from a Houston. Well, Burleson's not Houston. And,
I've lived long enough to see the politics go a complete 180 because these kind of things the Republicans used to accuse Democrats of, and now they're on board with it fully. And I'm like, what changed? Why are you thinking Dan Patrick is more able to solve our issues in our local city council? That's my politics for the day. And but
I get frustrated, and I feel like this next state legislative session is going to be a doozy for local government.
Well, here's what's going to happen also with property taxes. I don't know if it'll pass this next spring, but it'll become like vouchers, where it took about 4 sessions, and as the issue gained momentum, they started picking off people like Dwayne Burns and others.
Yeah, you're not on board.
Yeah, and
goodbye to you,
which
goodbye
is
to you.
crazy to me. Dwayne Burns was on every other issue except vouchers, and they targeted him. And I remember seeing the commercials, liberal Dwayne Burns. I'm thinking, there's no universe in the Marvel DC multiverse in which Dwayne Burns is a liberal, but they were trying to portray him as such, and it doesn't.
I mean, like labels. Screw the labels. Republicans don't even fit old Republican. No. I mean, like, I don't know what the definition of that even is.
Oh, I am a dinosaur. I think of myself as an old school Republican, but I don't have a place in this party.
Or conservative. I just take away the flipping titles and just work for the people. Make things make sense.
Well, one of the things that Republicans stood for was local control in the schools.
You do not hear that anymore because they don't think we know well enough. We don't know how to serve our citizens, even though we're the ones that are dealing with these day-to-day issues of trying to keep kids, safe on, devices of motorized or computer, whatever it may be. Like, we're the ones facing these families. When you're removed and you're down in Austin or you're in DC, there's so much that goes on, and they think they know better than us, and I don't know why that is.
Well, maybe I'll have it solved by the next time you're on the show. I don't know. I'd like to have you on after school starts, because I know that August and September is very, very busy. And
when we get the kids back into school.
Yeah.
Audrey's at a new school. I can't believe it.
Yeah, well, they'll get that way. You're going to be a mess on graduation day. Wait till she goes off to college.
Well, I'm going with her. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, have you already started talking about that kind of thing?
Oh, yes. We talk about all that kind of stuff.
Where does she want to go?
She wants to...
Come on.
She's like...
Don't say TCU.
She does. Well, that's really what I'm pushing for, so she's close to home.
No, brother.
But no, she's
Waco
like,
is not that far.
She's like, what universities have the color pink in their logo? I'm like...
Excuse me, not one that has any pride. I can tell you that on the football field.
It's like, I guess we could start with mascots. Whose mascot is the flamingo? No, she wants to, she wants to be a lawyer. And she's extremely argumentative, so I think she'll
know
be
a law
fantastic.
Waco isn't that far.
A&M built one right in town. I think if we're, I wasn't even an Aggie fan.
Let's talk about the.
necessarily, but there's a big, beautiful building.
We're going to talk about the charity needs now. Speaking of Aggies,
Gotcha.
Our Christmas in July, I had Megan and the gosh, I wish I remember her name. The education director from Next Step. I'm real bad at names, but you can go by and give gifts and whatnot. They're not doing an event because that poor Santa sweated to death practically, and he said they got they wanted to try this as a whole month where you can come by or get on the Amazon wish list, whatever else. Those toys are more valuable than you think, particularly those that you use your hands and creativity. I always support those kind of toys. They need something to manipulate and whatever else, and also clothing, also toiletries, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And in that boutique, which is not, a lot of people get the misunderstanding. They think it's like another version of Rachel's Hope. No, that's their retail outlet.
Right.
This boutique's just for their clients.
Their clients, yeah.
Yeah, and they
It's
pay for
so
those baby
awesome.
bucks and all that.
And they get those by going to classes and being educated
gosh, you
and
should see
becoming
the
better
classes.
parents, making better financial decisions. There's so much.
list is right over there.
Yeah, there's so much cool education that they provide. And so
Not just
we're
on how to change a diaper, too. They had like how to use your credit card, which you
Yes.
think, well, who doesn't know how? Well,
how
they
to
know
save
how
to put
to
a
use
down
it.
payment on a home, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we could all use that knowledge.
Also, I went by Promises today. Again, I dropped by some produce because if I can't use it myself in my garden, I'm going to give it away because I don't want it to rot. That'd be I'd feel pretty convicted about that. What people need. And I went to Promises, drop off a few tomatoes and whatnot. Standing room only. And we think of our economy doing okay because we have 3 meals a day, but a lot of people, this is pretty serious.
Yep. Things are
And
tight right now.
I mean, it was full, and a lot of small children, and so I think Rich Hooper over at the 88.3 said it best: find yourself a charity to support. For a lot of people, we don't have the means to support 19 different charities.
Sure.
So find one that you want to support, and this is one I push pretty hard because not only it's part of my church, but I know what they do, and I know what the need is, and it's. We still got, when does school start?
August 12th.
Okay, so we still got about roughly 3 to 4 weeks left before the school lunches
Summer
kick
is
in.
hard on families.
Very much.
Kids are always hungry. They're always digging for a snack. And you just ate, and the next thing they want to know is, what are we having for lunch? And you're like, okay, we just finished breakfast.
It reminds me of that scene in Lord of the Rings where the hobbits saying, well, what about 2 o'clock meal? What about our 4 o'clock meal?
My
What about our
favorite
6
thing to
o'clock meal?
take, my favorite thing to take to the blessing boxes are snack things because
Oh, yeah.
I have kids. I know they want crackers. They want like little things that they can just go in the pantry and grab. And
Well, Sherry
really important.
Scott here runs those blessing boxes, and there's a couple of things she would have you say. You put anything perishable in there.
don't put perishable things.
It's not going to last
do
very long.
not put
Canned food
things
is
that you want to donate, like clothing or other. There's places for
I got
that.
plenty of those. But canned food is an issue because it's so
It's hot.
So
Summer
boxed
is really
stuff.
tough for the blessing boxes.
Yeah. So if you have those kind of things, tomorrow we have our friends from Harvest House on.
Yay.
Amber and Kelly will be here, and they got a lot of things going on. Also, they got fall plans. They got a couple of programs for donations, whatever. That's the thing about these nonprofits that really touch me the most is the constant need for fundraising. That's hard.
It is.
It is. I mean, I'm terrible at sales, but it isn't just a matter of giving food and clothing out or whatever they do is their charity. It's you got to constantly be mindful of trying to make the budget. And when times get tough, sometimes that's where some of the giving slows down. Somewhere things are cut.
Absolutely.
So anyway, they'll be on tomorrow and talk about all these other things. I have reestablished a connection with House of Hope. The Elizabeth Becker retired about 3 months ago, who ran that, and now Crowley House of Hope's coming on the show in about, I think, August 10th or something like that, with their new director now. So also September 17th, where Gina's were doing that mass show where
Where the nonprofits come. I love that show.
I love it too, and it's just wonderful to watch them work together. And it's Josh's favorite day because he gets to go do a remote.
Yes, sir.
We let him out of that little cage we keep him in. We'll let him out of the cage when he gets his mind right.
Huh?
When he starts wearing that MAGA shirt. Anyway, not likely.
MAGA shirt. What?
Yeah. Anyway, y'all come in by tomorrow. Y'all share this show with others because, we got to have news out there. I'll let you finish this off.
Tune in to council tonight. We start at 5:30. Several hot button items tonight. We'll talk about supplemental request on the budget. We will talk about e-bikes and those motorized things that all the young people are enjoying, and should be an interesting discussion. I really encourage parents and community members to, if you can, attend and speak up, because we can't make good decisions if we don't hear from those it's directly impacting. And we don't always, it's not one single of us have the perfect solution to all the things. And so it's really important
Larry Scott
to have
does.
citizen input.
Larry, share to you, Larry has a perfect solution. Thank you, Aaron Ash over in Cleburne. We had a
Thank y'all for
great day.
tuning in and for being a participant.
One last thing, there are going to be some, in September and August, there's going to be some public hearings about the budget,
yes.
right? So they need to pay attention to that.
Look for those. Pretty much every meeting from here until September or through September, we will have budget items on every agenda. So come
For next year's budget.
for next year's budget,
Oh, well,
the budget that will
yeah.
go into effect October 1.
Okay. Well, good. Another great show, Victoria. Thank you for what you
Appreciate
do. And,
An honor. I love serving.
People say, I've known Victoria forever. And they go, was she like that in high school? I said,
Yes.
absolutely. It's like, I could probably count on my hand the number of students that are like interested in local government, even in high school. And Sherry says, good job. Thank you, Sherry. But it was just, it's like, you mentioned something about local government. I'm like, you're in high school. You're not supposed to care about
But
this.
we directly impact the way you live your life.
I know.
At day-to-day decisions, where you're shopping, where you're eating, where you're driving, where you're walking, accessibility. Please go take the accessibility survey that we currently have live on our website.
Our friend Rich Hooper says, good info. Thank you, Rich.
Thanks, Rich. But, take the surveys, be involved, shoot us emails. We are here to serve, and we can only serve better with input from citizens.
All right. That's a good way to end it. So we'll see you tomorrow
Appreciate
with
you.
Amber and Kelly, and we'll have a great day. You too, Josh.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.